Great to be here. We are going to talk about the car and radio in the car. My name is Tomas Granryd. I work for Swedish Radio as head of digital partnerships, and I try to focus a bit on car and everything that is in the car when it comes to radio. And I would like to speak about this quite new initiative. We all know, and we have heard this so many times today, and it's you get warm in your heart when you hear about how radio is important for so many people. And it's especially important for people in the car. It's been a love story going on for at least 80 years or something, even more probably. And it's that effortless experience, just one click away, it connects you to the world. The person in the car next to you is perhaps even listening to the exact same thing that you are, and that's kind of a feeling of community. And it's that special feeling of freedom not to have spent time choosing, which is brilliant actually in these days. So we have heard that radio is thriving in a way, DAB is thriving. All good then, right? Yeah. Thanks for me. No, it's actually really not just thriving, because when the car gets connected, there's a new dynamic in place, and there are a lot of challenges, but we see three major challenges. The first is, of course, that FM and/or DAB gets more and more hidden away in the dash, and sometimes it's not even present. Like that's the big elephant in the room that I hope that we will have time to discuss later on with new versions of Tesla that perhaps don't even have radio in the car. That's the first challenge. The second challenge is, of course, our apps that we want to promote. It's super important with that very close relationship with the audience through our digital services. But we see also that strong global actors are getting prominence with their services, often paid prominence, or could be paid. We are not really sure, but it's quite obvious that strong global actors are getting true prominence in the car. And it makes our apps harder to find. And then the last big major problem, that's my favorite area, voice assistants. It's amazing how stupid smart assistants can be in a car. It's like almost unreal how stupid it is, but we know that this could be a true deal breaker when it comes to navigation in the car, and it has to become better. It has to be reliable in order to make people use it. So with these challenges, we understood that we as broadcasters need to unite. So we have joined forces, both public broadcasters in Europe and commercial broadcasters in Europe, and broadcasters in Australia and in US, trying to form an initiative where we define what we think is important for the audience. And we call it Radio Ready for the Connected Cars. We have a lot of documentations, but to be very short and concrete, we know that the audience want radio to be prominent and convenient to use. The physical button is the gold standard still. That we are looking for. Apps should be discoverable, and we talked earlier about this, Charles Emmanuel talked about this linking where you're listening to radio in the broadcast environment and your app is there represented. So you have like almost a plus menu to radio with your apps. That is true prominence for apps. And of course, voice assistant should be reliable. When you ask for a radio channel, it should start the FM or DAB receiver, not an IP aggregator. We think of this as an initiative not only for Europe, it's for the whole world actually. All broadcasters are of course invited. We are an open initiative. Everybody that kind of supports us can join us, and we work very closely with trusted partners like these guys on stage. Just us doesn't become that powerful, but together we become really powerful. We want to keep it simple so everybody understands it, so everybody gets the message, and we always do it for the benefit of the audience. That's the important thing. So I could say like this: when you are going to buy your next car, or when you ask your audience to buy the next car, make sure that that car is radio ready in a way. So that's my short presentation of Radio Ready. Thank you.
All right.
And now it's Laurence from Radioplayer.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Good. Fantastic. Thank you. Glad to hear those voices. Let me just click on. Okay, so in my 5 minutes, I'm going to focus on collaboration, which is, I think, one of the themes of this discussion, and also prominence, which Tomas has already highlighted is incredibly important for radio and also for us at Radioplayer. First of all, just on collaboration, most of you here will probably know Radioplayer, but those who don't, Radioplayer was founded on the principle of collaboration, the fact that we should, as broadcasters, collaborate on technology and compete on content. And that started in the UK with BBC, Global Bauer, Radio Centre, but Radioplayer is now in 27 countries, here in Belgium as well. Most of you will know, I'm sure, Nicolas, Eric, Vincent, who run Radioplayer Belgium. We also collaborate with all the major organisations. We're proud members of WorldDAB and long-term steering board members, and also the NAB in the US, Radio DNS, EBU, and work closely with AER. And we are very supportive of the Radio Ready initiative. The key pillars that Tomas outlined, unsurprisingly, given that we are supported by broadcasters, are paramount in what we do and the way we work with the car makers, which brings me on to the final part of collaboration, which is so important. The work that we do to partner with the car makers to create the best possible experience for radio. We think that should be a hybrid experience with DAB+ and FM at its core. You can see there the 17 car maker partners we have today. But as part of those partnerships, one of the things that we work really hard on is prominence. And that's what I want to talk about next. Now, Tomas has already touched on some of the challenges, but I guess also opportunities around prominence. So I just want to focus on a few of those before I tell you what we're doing. First of all, technology side, I think we know this. You know, we now have the app stores in the car, and voice, I think, is also an important aspect here. Voice should be really positive when it comes to prominence for radio and working well, but we know at the moment there are some challenges, or there can be. Gatekeepers, that could be the operating systems. It could be the car makers themselves who are in control of their user interfaces. Competition for radio from other services, could be films, could be gaming, but also competition within the automotive sector, which is bringing pressure onto our car maker partners, and they're looking at new business models, new ways to make money and revenue. And Tomas touched on the fact that some entertainment providers could be, the car makers could charge them for prominence, and maybe that's a new business model. So that could affect radio as well. And then you've got the dashboard screens themselves becoming larger, some of them spanning the width of the car itself, high definition and configurable. And that's probably a good thing for the user, right? But all these things have an impact on prominence. So what are we doing, what are Radioplayer doing about this? So we put radio first, unashamedly, proud to do so, and that's what our broadcasters want from us. And we collaborate with our car maker partners to help secure radio's prominence. And we do that in two ways. First of all, we actually require a level of prominence as part of our partnership agreements. It's baked into those agreements. That's a discussion, that's a negotiation, but we require it as part of the value exchange that we have with them. Secondly, we also talk to them about some of the themes that we've touched on in the event today. That's radio's importance, the fact that 90% of people want DAB+ and FM in their car when they're going to buy a car. That's from WorldDAB research. The fact that radio is the most trusted source of media and news. And also the things that we've heard about with regards to emergencies and the role that broadcast radio can play. And telling that story is incredibly important. The good news is that we've had some success with those two things. And what you see at the bottom are examples where the radio button, we're talking about the radio button, again, broadcast, hybrid radio, DAB+ within that, is fixed, a fixed position, either on the dashboard screen permanently or a fixed position at the first layer of any list of sort of audio apps, or on the home screen as well. And what you see here are concrete examples of where we've managed to do that. And if we hadn't been working with them, radio would not be there. It would be buried somewhere else. So we think this is really important work. We also know it's going to be incredibly challenging going forward, and that's where the continued collaboration comes in to help secure radio's prominence. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, let's dive right in. So I'm going to choose to speak about two projects we've done with some of industry partners. First of all, DTS AutoStage is a hybrid radio solution launched about 5 years ago. Right now, we crossed 13 million mark. And we do two things very well for the radio industry. One is we enhance the user interface for the radio screen in the car. And the second, we provide analytics about FM, DAB, HD radio, Chinese digital standard listening in the car. So I also wanted to dive a little bit deeper and go beyond a little bit the prettiness of the interfaces, which I think we've all done in the past, and I'm guilty of that. And I want to go and show you how we go from legal requirement to implementation in the car. And I'm going to do a deeper dive in Germany, where we collaborate with, obviously, the manufacturers, in this case, BMW, with the state regulators who are responsible according to the Interstate Media Treaty, Article 84, paragraphs 3, 4, and 5, for the implementation and of the public value in radio, in cars, and of course television. So how does that look like? So I'm just going to give you a quick snapshot. This is what public value sorting in the car looks like. And this has been a project that we've done, again, with input from Veit. Thank you so much. And the German industry has been very good about creating and maintaining this list of public value stations that are defined, and that's really their responsibility. So because I told Veit that I would learn some German, gut gemacht, weiter so. Thank you. All right, and I'm going to move to something very exciting, good news from Ireland. As you may know or may not know, Ireland has been flirting for quite some time with the AB Plus, and I think now it's a time to take a closer look at what's going on. So Stephen Foley, who has been a big pusher of this project and advocate, has been trying to get some insights about what's happening with the trial that's going on right now. So we looked at data in DTS AutoStage equipped vehicles in Ireland for, let's say, a month and a half, September through mid-October. And what we learned, I think it's pretty revealing of the state of the industry and the DAB adoption in cars and in the markets. So what we learned was that about 20% of the total listening is to DAB, which is great news, right? It's a trial. But I think this speaks about the fact that a lot of the new cars, I mean, all of the new cars have to have DAB. So what we also note is that between where stations that broadcast both in FM and DAB, the cars default to DAB, right? So about 90% of that listening takes place on DAB only. So that's good news. And I think the other important piece here is that of the stations of those stations that were listened to on DAB, about 20% of those were new stations. So those stations, those channels, and I've listed some of them here, they got stood up specifically for this trial, and people are listening to them. They're discovering new content, which again, I think it's one of the benefits, as we all know, of DAB, right? You wanna add, it's easy, it's just a additional minimal cost to create a new channel. And you can see the variety of content there. And of course, somebody went all in and decided to just go. And this is, I listed probably only half of what they've done. Those are DAB channels. So they went from kids to rock, to 80s, to cinema. So I think this is good news. Again, if you have any questions, you should probably talk to Stephen Foley. He's very excited about this. And if any regulator would like to get a deeper dive in the analytics and they want to know what's going on in the DAB world in the cars, I'm happy to address that. So with that, I'm going to give us some time back for questions.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
We have a couple of minutes to talk. If there is a question in the audience, please raise your hand, and I think we could fix the microphone. Yes, we have a question. Before we go for that question, I have to rip off the Band-Aid just to ask the question that at least I'm thinking about a lot. We think that radio in the car is something that we take for granted. Radio is always there. It's no problem. But then we now hear rumors about the new Tesla 3 model and Opel as well, where cars not necessarily have radio. Is that true? What is your view on it?
Well, I can venture a view on that. I mean, I think what we're seeing is interesting, because when you look at the landscape for the car maker partners, the competition is huge out there, and these guys are trying to hit a price point. And I was reading an article about what Tesla had done, and they were saying that they'd taken out a number of things in the car, heated seats, for the lowest entry level, where they might also take out broadcast radio. And you can see they're trying to do that to hit a price point. But it should be unthinkable that broadcast radio is categorized in the same level as heated seats or the sunroof, for the reasons we talked about earlier, the reasons that it should be a core benefit for the user that is understood. So I think us telling the story, and the point about collaboration, being consistent in the messages, telling the story in the right way, and showing, it's one of the things that we're trying to do with Radioplayer in Car, showing that what a fantastic broadcast radio experience can look like, a way into a world where you're getting the best of broadcast and IP, is critical. Because you've got to make it, you get to the point where it's impossible to even have that conversation about taking it out, because this is about the users in the end, the listeners.
George, do you feel that the car manufacturers rather would skip radio because it's expensive or messy, or do they understand the value? And of course, there are a lot of different car manufacturers with different views.
No, of course, and I do think that, and to Laurence's point, we do the same thing. We're trying to educate, and they understand, they know the value of radio, right? And I think for the most part, they get it, and they want to keep it there. They want to make it engaging. But I also want to commend you for your initiative, because I do think, as an industry, we do have to react when something like this happens. We can't just let it slide and let them get away with it necessarily. I mean, there's nothing we can do to force them in this particular moment, but I do think there are some initiatives that obviously you and others in this room are working on to pressure the governments. I do think there is, the safety aspect of it. Radio has that component, right? We're all worried about what's going on in the world right now. Radio still has that power to reach millions very easily, right? Yeah. So, I think let's just roll with it, but also just act and make sure that this doesn't become a runaway trend.
Good. The questions. Sorry.
Hi. Yeah, no problem. My name's Laura Fisher. I'm an audio analyst. I had a question, and it might be out the remit of your research, but you mentioning Ireland there, just finally doing a trial. Why has Ireland been slightly further behind maybe the rest of Europe when it comes to DAB? Like, it'd be interesting to hear why.
I'm actually not the right person to answer that. Probably somebody from the WorldDAB team. They can do that, because we're here as a technology provider, as a supplier to the automotive. We were just asked as a favor to pull some data from our backend to ensure that they have some data that they can go to the regulator and say, hey, this is actually working, right? And that's what we've been doing. I don't know why and how, and I cannot comment to that. But I think it's pretty exciting to see that they haven't given up, right? We know that some countries have maybe tried it once and never went back to it. Ireland has been trying, and I think this is looking very promising, if I may speak so, although I'm not employed by WorldDAB. Yeah, good? All right. Approved by Jackie, so it's
we just have almost a minute left. Short, what is the biggest challenge in the coming 5 years and the biggest opportunity?
Biggest challenge is securing radio's prominence and availability in the dashboard. The biggest opportunity is collaborating to be able to demonstrate a world-class experience that listeners can't do without.
Do you think that the audience will kind of gradually go to music streaming service, or will they stay in radio? Is it that resilient as it looks like?
I mean, look, I think we believe that it is.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, it is, absolutely. But we have to keep pace with the pace of change, the way that services are being delivered and accessed, and make sure that radio is as rich as some of the other experiences that people are going to start seeing in the car. If we don't, it will get left behind. We can't afford for that to happen.
George.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm in agreement here. The challenges, we all know them, but I do think that radio is incredibly creative, and it's not resting on its laurels. Obviously, if you had 100% listenership share in the car, it's only going to go down from there. So it's going to look bad no matter how you look at it. But I do think that some of the things that we're doing as an industry and as providers to the OEMs make sure that radio stays engaging, attractive, and really it's all about educating that new generation of listeners to make sure that they turn to radio not only when there's an emergency, but also when they want to be informed and so on. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, George, Tomas, Laurence. Excellent work.